Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Inside Voice Podcast. If you are new around here, welcome. We've been waiting for you. My name is Jess, by the way, if we haven't had the opportunity to meet or if this is your first introduction to me. I will be honest with you, this is not the episode that I had planned. I had a series that I'd been working on, was super excited to launch that today. But honestly, this episode is, it's going to be published on Memorial Day. And I just felt like we needed to pause on this day and at this time to focus on something else rather than what what we're eventually going to get to next week. With Memorial Day being here, it never ceases to amaze me that there are men and women in the history of this nation that essentially laid their life down for me. I'm not saying that because I'm being selfish, but I am enjoying the freedoms of this nation. I am enjoying safety and security and peace that I don't think a lot of people get in the world. And to think that there are men and women that I will never meet that died for that, it's mind-boggling to me. There's, what is that verse? I always mess it up because it's worded so eloquently and beautifully, and I'm, just like a common civilian. Greater love has no man than this, than to lay one's life down for another. It's a lot to take in, And my husband was Air Force for a long time, and so I've been fortunate enough to be in the military community. And, I met a lot of great people, met a lot of great families, have had a lot of wonderful experiences, but I also I've seen behind the curtain and I know how difficult military life is. I know how much sacrifice goes into it. And, I get emotional about it because there are people that we have known that have paid that price. They have laid down their life, and it is humbling in the biggest way. So yeah, it's a hard life with deployments and training schedules and, TDYs and PCSs, permanent change of stations and temporary duties. You're just everywhere, and then to think that you could lose somebody in the active service. I mean, it's a lot. And so I just, before we go any further, I just want to say on this Memorial Day, to all of those men and women that we've lost, raise a glass to them, but to the families and the loved ones that they left behind, my heart goes out to you, really, honestly and truly. And thank you for your sacrifice. And even if you haven't lost a service member, and you're still sacrificing a lot. So thank you for that. I also, it's Memorial Day, and if you're listening to it on the week of Memorial Day, this past week, we lost Kyle Busch, another notable name out there in the world. And I'm not a huge racing fan. I'm not a big NASCAR fan, but working in country music, they kind of go hand in hand. Country fans and racing fans are one and the same. And a lot of country artists, are big fans of racing and do pre-race, shows and stuff like that. So we covered a lot of Kyle Busch last week. Let's just put it that way. So I was in it, reading stories and finding unique angles and going through photos and stuff like that. And it's a lot to take in, 41 years old, 2 kids, a wife, really just at the height of his game, one of the best racers out there, has won so many championships, and and he's gone. And it was so quick too. I mean, details are still coming out, but at the time of recording this, he had gone in for training or a simulator training, became unresponsive, was hospitalized, and within hours was gone. And it's just, that's a lot, that's a lot to take in. And, there's that saying of tomorrow's promised to no one. And I do believe that, but I would take it a step further. Not even the next minute is promised to us. And I'm not at all trying to scare you or come down on you or anything like that, or make you second guess yourself or fill you with anxiety and insecurity. But, it's just a reminder for us that we don't know when our time is done. I actually heard a pastor say this the other day. We don't know where our finish line is. We're all running this race and we're running it well, like Paul the apostle tells us to do, with endurance. But we don't know when we're going to cross that finish line. We don't know how close we are to it. We could be really close. We could be really far away. We might have a massive marathon ahead of us. We just don't know. And it's interesting with Kyle. He had a race like less than a week before he passed away, and he won. And so they were doing the pre-race or the post-race interview. And he was asked, like, you've won so much, like I'm paraphrasing here, you won so much, like, why do these moments never get old? Like, how come this isn't just like, oh, same old, same old? And the first thing he said, and this is so crazy and harrowing, he said, because you never know when the last one is. And that ended up being his last race. Like, it gives you chills, right? Now, you can get all woo-woo about that, but I think really what it boils down to is like, we say that a lot. Never know when the last one is, never know if this is the last Christmas that we're all together. Never know if this is that and blah, blah, blah. Like, we say that all the time, but it's like, are we actually showing up day to day in life with that at the forefront? Are we living in a way that shows that we recognize, A, we matter, like our time on this earth matters, and B, we only get a short time to make life matter. Does that make sense? Like you are on this earth for a reason, and you don't have a lot of time to fulfill that reason, I guess. Now I know what you're thinking, like, oh, I got so much on my plate, Jess. Like, you have no idea what my schedule's like. You have no idea what my to-do list is. You don't have kids. You don't get it. And I don't know your life. But I just don't want you to miss out on your life because life got in the way. You know what I mean? I want you to be so present, like the kids say these days, that main character energy. I want you to be so in your life that it doesn't just pass you by. I want you creating memories and I want you experiencing things with people that leave a mark on you and add life and vibrancy and color to your day to day. Again, I'm not trying to like give you another to-do list of like, okay, well, you took that sip of coffee and you didn't recognize that it had wonderful notes of hazelnut in it. But, having a moment like that every so often is a good thing. And I don't want this to be just like another live life to the fullest, climb the mountain, go skydiving, that kind of thing. Like Tim McGraw has the song Live Like You Were Dying, and it's a beautiful song. This is one of the reasons why I love country music, is the storytelling in it, the imagery that it creates, the realness of it. And the whole thing is like the narrator, Tim, encountering somebody that is going through a health crisis, and it's a terminal diagnosis, and the message is to get out there and live your life, live like you were dying. And so like the chorus is all like, I went skydiving, bull riding, mountain climbing, all sorts of stuff, and that's all fine and good. Like I do think that there's a time and place for big adventures like that, for getting out of your comfort zone and stuff like that. But like, what about on a Tuesday? How are we showing up in life that makes Tuesday feel like, if that was our last day, I'm good with it? You know what I mean? And I think it boils down to more than just the big exciting fireworks, Last week we talked about vacation. Vacation's great. Take the vacation. If you want to go skydiving, go skydiving. If you want to throw yourself on a bowl and see if you can make it 8 seconds, go for it. Like, have those adventures, but also like recognize that those are so few and far between. That's probably like 10% of your life. Most of your life is going to be the mundane stuff. Most of your life is going to be brushing your teeth or washing dishes or, reprimanding your children or sitting in a school drop-off or pickup line. Like, that's going to be most of your life. How do you show up in those moments? How do you be present in those moments in a way that is meaningful? I don't have the answer for that. I think that's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own, how to like maybe romanticize those moments, how to maybe add a little color to those moments. Um, and again, you're probably thinking like, gosh, Jess, I'm already so stressed out. I'm maxed out. I have no creativity left. I get it. I totally get it. And I understand what it's like to have a long, hard day and you come back and all you want to do is just zone out on social media. I get it. But I think about when I was a kid and my mom, like she was very like big on we're not just going to sit in front of the TV all day. Like when Saturday rolled around, I think we would have like a few moments of like having cereal and watching maybe some Nickelodeon. And then it was like, go do something. Like she would just come in and with authority, she would punch those buttons, the direct TV and the TV. And it was just like, go, get out of here. Get out of the living room, get out of the house, whatever. Like, and so as kids, we spent a lot of time outside. We spent a lot of time being bored and figuring out what to do with that boredom, And I think that's really the message that I want to give to you is like, don't spend your life in front of the TV. Don't spend your life in front of a screen. Don't spend your life in front of social media watching other people live their lives, I think oftentimes we see something like Kyle Busch passing away and we're like, oh, but he was doing so much and oh gosh, he was really living, like he was a NASCAR racer. Gosh, that must have been the life. And then we scroll on to the next thing and like, that's it. We need to let these moments mark us. We need to let these moments change us, I think I shared with you that my word of the year this year is vibrant. And so what that has kind of turned into for me is, what do you want to do, Jess? And why are you not doing it? So for me, it's like little things here and there. So one of the things that I wanted to do was plant flowers in the flower bed and like have this beautiful, vibrant, colorful flower bed. So I planted flowers. I didn't wait for the perfect opportunity to do it. I didn't wait for a free Saturday that I could spend the entire day working on it. I just said, hey, like I'm going to go to Lowe's and Home Depot and this nursery and that nursery. Just, I'm tacking it on to maybe grocery shopping or running my dog to the groomer or something like that. I'm just going to pop by and see and just letting things speak to me and like, oh, this looks pretty. That looks pretty. I mean, I did the research of like, what thrives in full sun, what's going to grow in my zone, and what's a perennial, because I don't want to have to replant everything next year. I'd rather it just come back on its own. There was thought and research into it. But again, it was like, I want to do this. I want to put flowers out there. I want it to be beautiful and colorful. And I want it to attract butterflies and bees and not the rabbits that are eating my flowers right now, which I'm so mad. But it was like I just stopped waiting for the perfect opportunity. I stopped waiting for approval, Like if you're married, you know what it's like to go to your spouse and be like, what do you think of this? And they're just like, I don't care. Like, do what you want. And they don't mean it as like they're putting you down. They just mean it as like, this is your thing. Go for it, So, yeah, I stopped waiting even for my husband to give me input. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go out there. I'm just going to do it. And so I would encourage you to think about the same things. What are things that you're not doing because you're waiting for permission? You're waiting for the right day to do it. You're waiting for the right weather conditions to do it. You're waiting for the invitation to do it. I'm not going to lie to you. Like there are things that you can do by yourself. And it's totally fine. You can go to a movie by yourself. You can go to a museum by yourself. You can, go garden in your garden by yourself and just do whatever you want to do because it's pretty. She said, giving herself reassurance. But, I think a lot of times, and I think if you're here listening to this podcast, you might be like me, where you make things bigger than they need to be. It's like, oh, but it's a whole to do. I'm going to have to do this and then do that and plan this and plan that. It's like, it's not that much. Just do it, Shia LaBeouf, just do it. But, looking at Kyle Busch passing away, thinking about Memorial Day, it really does make you think a lot about life. It makes you think more than just the big extravagant things like the trip to Italy you might want to take or the surfing lessons that you want to take. But maybe it's just something like, maybe living life that is beautiful and full and meaningful is found in those mundane things. Maybe it's like, how do you treat your neighbors? Do you smile at them? Do you wave to them? Like I'm Miss Mayberry in my neighborhood. Like I'm not going to have a full-on conversation with you, but I will wave, I will say hello, I will tell you how cute your dog is, and then go about my business. But like I'm going to engage with you because we are living in this community together. And on a grander scale, like we're living on this earth with other people. How often do you go out in public and you're like this the entire time? Like your head is down, you're on your phone, you're scrolling. I look at the grocery store, I look at restaurants, I look at movie theaters, and it's like everybody's on their phone. And it's like that's part of your world, but this is your world. Where you are at, the people that you're around, the places that you're going to physically is your world. So look up and take it in, smile at people, make eye contact with people, say hi to people. I know it sounds awful, like, ew, I don't want to do that. People are so annoying. Oh, what do they think? Blah, 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 blah. Like, just, we've got to realize, like, it's like George Costanza says on Seinfeld, like, we are living in a society. Like, we are living our lives with other people, whether we know them or not. And so I would just encourage you, like, if you want to talk about living a life that feels full, look up. Look around at the people that are around you. One of the things that I love to do, and this is probably really annoying for the people that are around me, I love complimenting people. Because I like getting complimented. But I love that. And it's never like, oh, I just said it because it needed to be said. No, like I try to actively look for things to compliment people on. Their glasses, their nails, their hair, their smile, their eyes, like I'm that weirdo. But like, I want people to feel seen because I want to feel seen. And I feel like living a life to the full, living a life that is meaningful, living a life that feels like it's living like you're dying, that's part of it for me. That's the engagement that I want to have. That's the society that I want to live in. So maybe it's like, maybe living a life that is full and vibrant and colorful is, showing up in a way that you want to be showed up for. Bringing to the table what you hope other people will bring to the table. You know what I mean? And it sounds so trivial, but I think the way that we treat people around us really does make a difference in the world as a whole. It's a domino effect. I'm a hardcore believer in this. Like you being nice to somebody will probably lead to them being nice to somebody. Gosh, this is wild. I saw this on social media. I don't know if this is a true story or not, but it was the story of this woman working at a convenience store, and she worked late night. So she's doing like the overnight shift. And you see people come in and, they can be shady. They can be a little strange. But she decided in her own heart that she was just going to be nice to people. And there was one person that she just decided to write a sweet message on the receipt and then handed it to this person. What she didn't know is that guy, he like came back to her and he was like, you're the first person to like make eye contact with me, to converse with me, to write a message on this receipt in a week. This guy had had no contact with other people, hadn't felt seen by another person in a week. And it just like it started to grow, and like this, she was more encouraged to be nicer to other people and write messages on other receipts and engage with people. Like you have no idea the impact that you can have on another person. And it just like it changed the environment of that convenience store in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? And I'm a firm believer in that you have no idea what somebody's going through. You have no idea what kind of weights that they're carrying. You have no idea what kind of negative self-talk is going on in their mind constantly on repeat. So it's like, be nice. Let them know that they are seen and that they matter to somebody. I'm not saying that you need to be weird. You don't need to compliment them like I do. You don't even really have to like talk to them, but maybe just like smile at them. Maybe just like make eye contact with them as you're interacting with them. If you're at the grocery store and they're at the cash register or something, like just show people that you recognize that they're another human being. Maybe that's part of just living life. Maybe that's part of the mission that we're here for. You know what I mean? Maybe living life and actually living life is, letting go of past mistakes, letting yourself off the hook for things, not punishing yourself so much for that thing that you did in 1997. You know what I mean? Like, let it go. If you need to say sorry to somebody, say sorry to somebody. If you need to make amends, go make amends. If you need to make a change in your life, make the change. But like, stop living in the past, because it's the past. You cannot change it. All you can do is make a decision to move forward and operate in a different way. Maybe living life to the fullest and feeling like life matters is forgiving somebody, letting somebody else off the hook. There's so many people that hold grudges. There are so many people that hold on to hurt. There are people that hold on to trauma even, or brokenness. And it's like, I think about the man in the Bible who was sitting by the pool of Bethesda. And it's like, he was paralyzed, couldn't get to the pool when it was stirred up. It was like this whole thing in the Bible of like, oh, they believed that an angel would come down and stir up the water, and the first person to get to the water would be healed. He couldn't get to the water, and he'd always make all these excuses of like, I've got nobody to carry me, and I'm never there first, and I can't get there in time, and blah, 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 blah. And Jesus looks at him and he's like, do you want to be healed? And it seems very offensive because this man has been paralyzed for decades. It's like his entire life he's been sitting by this pool. It's like over 30 years or something like that. And to have Jesus come to you, who has every power and authority to heal you, ask you if you want to be healed. But I heard an interesting perspective on this one time. It was like, some people just want to remain hurt. Some people just want to remain bitter. Some people just want to remain unforgiving. They want to remain broken. And it sounds strange from the outside looking in, but also, sometimes like, to be healed means that you are now operating in a different world. Your world changes. If you forgive somebody, you no longer get to hold on to this control. It's like, forgiveness is a lot of like letting go and just being like, wash my hands of this, I'm moving on. And some people don't want to do that because it feels like you're letting loose of something, like you're losing control of something. And for whatever reason, we feel like holding on to unforgiveness gives us control. I'm walking this path, it's not easy to forgive, it's not easy to, we're all walking this path, you know what I mean? We've all been hurt. We've all been betrayed. We've all been done wrong. We've all been lied to. We've all had things done to us that are hard, but like, we can't hold on to those things anymore. We got to let them go if we want to live a life that is full and beautiful and vibrant and abundant. You know what I mean? I want to come at Christians for this, because I think oftentimes we forget what Christ came and did for us. You know what I mean? He came to give us life and life more abundantly. He freed us from death because he overcame death on the cross. So we get to live life, and when we die, we don't die. We don't go to the pits of hell. Like, we get to continue living this beautiful, wonderful life with our Savior. That's the promise. That's the good news. That's the gospel. But what does that look like for us every single day? You know what I mean? Like, the abundant part of it. Like, we get to walk in freedom. We get to walk in love and light because we're walking with the Holy Spirit, because we're walking with God. Like, that's a beautiful thing. But what else? There's another part of that abundance that I think that we're missing out on. So many Christians, I feel like, especially these days with the way that the world is, everybody talks about like, these are the end times, like Christ is coming. What if Christ doesn't come for another 100 years? I like, you're going to be gone, like, you're not going to get raptured. If he decides to delay and to tarry for another century, like, What are you doing today? You know what I mean? Like that abundant part we're really missing out on. And I think it's because oftentimes we're so ready to go to heaven. We're so ready for Christ to come back because the world is cray cray that we forget that we're not guaranteed to be just plucked out of this. You know what I mean? To just be able to move on and to teleport out of this. Like we're essentially, what is the way that I want to put this? It's like we became a Christian, that was our get out of jail free card, and now we're just going to sit around and wait for heaven to arrive. Wait for Christ to come, wait for our day to leave. That's not what we're here for. We're here to live. We're here to make disciples. We're here to further the kingdom. Like we are on mission here. And when you give your life to Christ, like you accept that mission. So go out and do it. But beyond that, it's like Christ died for you. Like, and you're going to sit around at home and scroll on social media? Like, can I just be honest with you? Like, Christ died for you. You're going to sit around and watch Netflix? What? Christ died for you. Like, you're just going to, watch everybody else live their life and just, well, that's great for them. Wow, I wish God would bless me like that. He did. He did when he died on the cross. So what are you doing with that? Go, live, do, be, put yourself out there, try things, like meet people, shake people's hands, look them in the eye, like try the thing, fail at the thing and try another thing, like do the thing. Like, I'm also preaching to myself here, because I can get very complacent and say like, well, I have all this to do and all that to do. And it's like, okay, but like you have other things that are beautiful and wonderful that I think God is kind of going like, hello, when are we going to get to that? And sometimes I think we can get so wrapped up in the mission that we feel has been placed on our lives that we forget to walk with God. My dad always tells me that when he was a pastor, there was a moment where he was working on a sermon. So he is Bible open, notebook open, laptop open, concordance open, Hebrew text open. He's got all this stuff open, right? Like he is in it, diving into the word, learning, studying, asking, seeking, all that, right? And he said in the midst of all of that, when he's working on that sermon, he's communing with God. He felt like God just kind of like tapped him on the shoulder and was like, I really miss you. I mean, my dad's like, I wanted to flip the table. Wanted to scream and pull my hair out and be like, what are you talking about, God? He's like, I'm literally sitting with you right now. I'm in your word. I'm studying. I'm working on what you have called me to do. And I think we miss that special communion, that special intimacy that we have with God when we're just trying to do the task list that we feel like God has given us. That is living abundantly. It's not just doing our mission, sign me up, let's go. It's living life with Christ. It's living life abundantly and relishing in the beauty and the wonderful things around us. It's so easy for us to get caught up in a to-do list, in a schedule, in a one day we'll do this. You can set wonderful goals for yourself. You can work hard for those goals, and that's great. But if you're forgetting to live in the midst of those goals, like what is the point? Because again, we're not guaranteed another moment on this planet. And I had an interesting conversation with my aunt about this, actually. We were talking about heaven, and we were talking about, there's so many people that are just, they get saved and then they sit around and they wait to go to heaven when there's so much more that we can be doing on this earth. And I said, it's interesting. I had this revelation of we're going to have a wonderful time in heaven. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be great. Whoop it up. But there's a sweetness of living and doing life on this earth with God. And sometimes I think we're so concerned of like getting our needs met that we forget that we've got a friend in Jesus. We forget that we have a wonderful counselor and a waymaker and a peacemaker and this is not in the Bible, but like a joy maker, like we forget that we have a sweet communion with him, to just walk with him, even when the moments are hard. And I know that heaven is going to be wonderful, but I don't want to miss out on these moments. Being in the midst of something really hard and knowing that I have a savior that is by my side in this moment, Like, I don't know, there's something like oddly sweet about being in the struggle and knowing that he's here with us. Like, we're experiencing Christ here on this earth in a way that we're not going to experience him in heaven. And that's not to knock heaven, but that's like it's to make us recognize, like, we have a wonderful opportunity to experience him in a wonderful way here on this earth, and to get parts of him that we're not going to have there. Like, does that make sense? I hope that's not blasphemy. Like, I mean it in the best way possible, and I don't know if I have like scripture to back this up. Like, I'm not the greatest theologian. I recognize that there's wonderful things that he wants to show us and have us partake in on this earth that I think we're missing out on because we're so anxious to get to heaven, or we're so wrapped up in the day-to-day to-do list. So when I think about mortality, when I think about the finish line, I guess is a little more PC way to put it. When I think about that, the day that I will leave this earth, it's like I want to have experienced the sweetness of this life. As crazy as it is, as chaotic as it is, as stressful as it is, as unknown as it is, as unstable as it is, we get to rely on our Savior in a way that is quite beautiful, and in a way that I think he truly wants us to experience. You know what I mean? So yeah, like thinking about the finish line, it makes me want to leave a mark on this earth. And I'm not saying that in a way of like, I got to have a podcast with millions of listeners. Oh, I got to have, I got to have a best-selling book. I got to start a business. I got to, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. I have to be on the platform and win the awards and have so many followers and stuff like that. Like that's all of that stuff is so temporary. Like all of that stuff can come and go. But I think about like, I want to have the impact on people around me. I want to have the impact on my life in a way that is meaningful. I want to feel like I showed up for my life and I showed up for those around me. We watch a lot of our life go by. We watch a lot of days go by, and it's only in moments when Memorial Day comes around, or somebody like Kyle Busch passes away, or a new year starts, or a kid graduates, or a birthday comes around. It's only in those moments that we really stop and pause and reflect. But I think this is a daily practice that we should be implementing. I think we should be looking at life and trying to live it with intentionality every single day. It's a lot. I get it. I hear it when I say it. It's like, oh gosh, Jess, I don't have time for that. Yeah, of course. None of us have time for anything anymore. You know what I mean? But maybe it's just a mindset that we bring into each day and each task that we have. Like Kyle said, you never know when that last one is. It's not to make us put too much of an emphasis on a moment, but maybe it's just to make us be present, to, like I said, look somebody in the eye, to put the phone down, to enjoy the stillness for just a moment, to enjoy the emotion and the feelings that we have in that moment, to soak in the people and the places and the things around us. We say that a lot, life doesn't last forever. We say it a lot. This might be the last time that we do this, like we say all of that. But what if we actually lived it? What if we really thought this might be my last day on earth? What if we really thought this might be my last dinner with this person? This might be my last moment with this person. How would that change us? How would that make us show up differently? How would that soften us where we're not so hard? We're not so unforgiving. We're not so selfish. How would that change how we do every single day? That's something that I want you to reflect on as we go through this week. And like I said, we'll be kicking off a new series next week, but I felt like this was a message that needed to be said. And it's a message that we hear all the time. But how do we put it into a daily practice? Think about that this week. If I could give you any homework, that would be it. Because life is precious, life is sweet, life is short, and your life is meant to be your life. It's meant to be lived. So make it a good week for yourself. Hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend. Again, to our men and women in uniform, thank you. To their families, thank you. I'll see you next week.